So I'm going to call this meeting of the Bethel Public Utilities Commission to order for Monday, January 4th, 2021. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. And let's make it a better one than the last one. For God's sake.
Hopefully.
All right. So Paul, you got your flag ready?
Yep. Here we go.
So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Order of business is public input. Kathy, I don't think we have anybody in the waiting room or anything.
No, no one's here.
And no correspondence.
No.
Okay, so then the next order of business is acceptance of the minutes of the meeting of December 7th, 2020. I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
Make that motion.
All right, motion by Paul. Second by,
Second.
all right. Dino got his hand up first. Dino wins. Any changes, any corrections, comments? In hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? Were we all here? I don't remember.
It's the only one.
Okay, so Pete's gonna one abstention. All right, moving on to financials. Bob, Mr. Kozlowski, I'll turn that over to you.
Okay, thank you. Start with the water first. Just a look at the revenue between October and November increased by close to $1.1 million.
Wow.
This was a billing period, and the expenses were up about $373,000. Current November expenses are 1.757, and in October is 1.384. The biggest items in the increase or in the expenses for November, we have in capital constructions, 954,613. And the biggest items there are D&N tanks for 621, earth movers, and this is also in the report, earth movers at 227, American paving 8,300, Cannondale's 56, Wright Pierce 76,000. And then there's two hoppers. One's an RC hopper, and that's a reclass RC. That's 7185, and then the Hopper Haynes is 5150. So the total of those two, which is exactly the same company, 12,335. Those add up to roughly 950 of the 954 that's shown on the report on page 6. In the water mains, there was $87,800. Pretty much the same as last month. A road construction at 45,000, BMP 73, Connecticut Professionals almost 22,000, GNC Water 7,400, Plum Trees Plumbing 36, and underground surveying 1,400. And that totals 87,259 of the 87,824. That's also, it's account 5218. It's on page 6. Moving on to the sewer. The revenue was up about $871,000 from October to November, again, because of the billings. And the expenses were up about $1 million, $1,049,000. Looking at the different categories, one of the biggest items was the sewer debt. The debt went from 213 to 993. We had to pay down some principal and interest on 2015 obligation, and that was $730,000 of the $1,049,000. And then just maintenance 5207 account. That's exactly the same as last month. Kovacs 28.8, Cannondale 4,400, HO Penn 2,200, and I can't read my writing. Pembroke $8,700. And then the last item that's on page 13 too is we made our first payment to the city of Danbury for $213,485. So contracted services were up 214, so 213 was to the city of Danbury. If you add up the 779 and 213, virtually that's the major increase in the $1 million from October to November. Outside of that, everything else appears to be in line. And that's about it.
Okay.
Hey,
And one
Bob,
thing,
on page
Hey,
5, can you just clarify what you wrote there?
On page 5.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the clean water. That's the money we got on the clean water loans.
Oh, okay.
About the 1,944,000.
Okay.
You know? Yep, that's the money that we received from the state of Connecticut on the loans that we have.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Bob?
Yep.
Where are we, what year are we in on the bonds for the sewers? Are we
I'd have to check exactly. We got to have at least 10, 11 years behind us already, somewhere around there. But I'll find out and I'll send everybody an email on it.
all right, any other questions?
No.
I don't know if you heard me, Matt. I was asking Bob, what year are we in on the bonds for the sewer?
Yeah, I'm not sure, Richie. I thought it was around 10 years, but we did it in 3 different phases, so I have to go back and see when the first phase 1 was actually issued, but we started paying, I believe, before phase 1 was billed.
All right, could you find that out? It's
Yes.
nothing urgent,
And
but
I'll
sure.
email everybody with the answer.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody, I think, do we, you know what, I can't remember. Do we normally have a motion to accept the financial report?
Sometimes and sometimes not.
We should probably do that. So
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
So,
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thanks, Pete. Any other questions for Bob? And hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Let's move on to invoices. And my invoice sheet did not print. Hold on just a second here. Let me bring this up. All right, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the invoice sheet dated regular meeting January 4th, 2021, 6 items in the total amount of $24,331.52.
Second.
All right. Second by Paul. Okay, so take a look at the backup documentation. Hey, Kelly,
Yes, sir.
can you mute your, well, actually, you're on an iPhone, aren't you?
I am, but I can mute it. No problem.
Yeah, there's some weird feedback coming from the phone. I've had that problem with mine too. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve. Any questions for Tom? And hearing none, I'll try your minds. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Invoices are done. Nothing on new business, so we're going to move on to director's report. Tom, I'll turn that over to you.
Tom,
Tom, are you on? We can't hear you. You know what?
He's muted, not muted.
No.
No, you know what? I had the same damn problem today in a meeting where my Zoom just went dead.
He's going Kathy.
Come in with me.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay,
better.
that's better.
I can say I had a problem with my computer about 2 weeks ago, and Nick had to reboot my whole machine.
Yeah,
When I just went to go on Zoom now, it wasn't even loaded. So I just loaded it, and I thought I had it all set. So I unmuted, but you still didn't hear me. Okay, as far as director's report, really the one item I wanted to just bring up, I know Paul had mentioned, I think 2 meetings ago, maybe in November, that we start talking a little bit about water rates.
Right.
Our last approved water rate is effective this month, January 21. So this will carry us for the next year. So, we had started talking with Dave Fox, our consultant for rates, probably a year and a half ago, but really we haven't done anything with it yet, and which is probably a good thing because we got the updated pricing on the Bergstrom well project, which would obviously, now that we know we need treatment on that project, the price tag on that is quite a bit more than what we were considering a year and a half ago. So I've initiated discussions with Dave. I've given him some updated cost information. He's working up something for us, and I've asked him to have something ready that we can take a look at and discuss at the next meeting. So he's agreed to do that. He should be able to do that for us. And just looking at the timing of it, I think I went backwards about 5 years ago and looked at our rate increase from that time frame. And the process was for PUC to basically review it, approve it, forward it on to Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen set a public hearing, and then following the public hearing, the Board of Selectmen voted on it, and then the rates became effective. So I imagine that will be basically the process again that will follow. So I don't have any hard and fast numbers for you, but Dave's working on that. He's had a preliminary look at it, and he thinks we're in relatively good shape. That was really it for my report, other than, the old business items that are now going to come up.
okay. Any questions for Tom? If not, we'll move into old business. So Tom, take it away.
Okay, I put a couple items on the agenda. The first one is a amendment number 1 for the construction admin services for Wright Pierce for the Chestnut Ridge water tank. Your handout had their cover letter with that amendment and their backup material. Basically, what it comes down to is the project was early on anticipated to be completed in October. There was kind of a major delay with a piece of equipment, a check valve, which we needed that valve in order to be able to, put the tank in service and have the water drain from the tank. Basically, there's like a dual valve system. There's an altitude valve that lets the water into the tank, and the check valve lets the water out of the tank. So without that valve, we weren't able to proceed with getting the tank ready to go into service. So that delay added some time, and of course, time is money. We've had additional monthly meetings with the contractor and the engineer, obviously, correspondences, phone calls, and so on. So their amendment is kind of detailed on page 2 of that letter. It basically includes a change order from a couple of their consultants, plus the extra time that they spent between October and now. And they put an estimate together for some of the time they're going to need to spend between basically January and May, when the project can be completed, or at all the plantings. So their amendment is for a total of $34,324. And like I said, that includes some of the time they've spent already, 2 of the sub-consultants that had some additional time and material, and then the anticipated time between now and when the project can be finally completed in May.
So the completion date is now May?
Well, we can't finish the plantings, the topsoil seeding, the landscaping, basically until the spring.
Right.
So we've just selected a date at the end of May, basically, to get that done by.
Yeah, but Wright Pierce didn't do any of that work currently, so wouldn't it have been carried over to when it was being done? $34,000 seems like a lot of money to me.
I agree. You
I
know,
agree too. You know, we should have been informed.
I mean, the delay of the valve, I know they went back and forth on different valves and stuff on that, but it seems like it's a bit excessive to me.
Yeah, well, the time spent, they weren't really sure as October came, to an end, when exactly the valve was going to be ready to go. So they didn't give me their proposal here with this amendment until they really got to the point where they were exceeding, the contract amount. Sub-consultant had an issue with the foundation. They were trying to negotiate that price with him a little bit. So that time, I agree. We could have got this a little bit sooner, but they really didn't know how much they were going to spend based on when the check valve was going to be ready.
well, things were delayed, but they're averaging 10 hours a week of billable time. That seems excessive.
Well, between inspections, between the monthly meetings, between any correspondence that emails, I mean, their time is billable. So as we've discussed things that have been happening, that's been the time.
I still have a hard time understanding why it's as much as it is. I mean, these are things that they would have had to have done just in a compressed time frame if there wasn't for the COVID. So I'm a little confused. What additional work did they have to do? Sitting in on a meeting once a month is not 10 hours a week.
No. But we've each month, there's the construction meeting. There's the review of their pay requisition. There's the review of the certified payrolls that the state needs to see. There's been some change orders along the way. So there's been work that's been generated, basically.
Well, not to hold them up, I'll make a motion to table it and for further review.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Just a quick question, were you advised of these change orders as we're going along, or is this just, I look at the date of the letter, it's like December 16th here. It was absolutely news to me, and I'm sure it was to you too.
Well, the construction related change orders, we've been dealing, on as they've been coming up. I've been reporting on, there's been a total of 5. Actually, I have one more change order that we're going to discuss when I get into the summary of that capital project. But there's been extra, if you recall, there's been some extra rock excavation. I actually have them back on my desk, but I'm trying to think of what the other one was. We requested a couple of additional, not additional, but a blow off assembly on the pipeline feeding the tank. So we had a way to feed the tank and also basically, drain the chlorine from it. The bulk of the changes have been rock.
Rich, say that again.
We did a bypass up there too. We did a bypass too, so if we could backfeed a line. So yes, there are some change orders that we have discussed already, Paul.
Yeah.
But
Yep. Now, the foundation issue, that came up when they were blasting the rock for the tank, and the geotechnical engineer basically required them to put in a geogrid. So I knew there was something coming there. He submitted an invoice on that, which I sent that back to them, and then it took them a few months really then to basically try to renegotiate that engineer's additional cost. So where I knew that was coming probably like in June, they didn't finalize their negotiation with him until just recently.
Tom, that was for the foundation of the tank or the blasting of the water line that they had it?
Well, the geogrid was under the tank, Rich. It wasn't a uniform amount of rock. So towards the western end of the tank, so as you're driving in the driveway, the right-hand side, they didn't have as much rock. The depth to rock was a little bit greater. and it was an unsuitable material that the geotechnical engineer wanted them to remove, put in a geogrid and some additional, crushed stone.
Were we aware of that back then?
Yeah, that was change order number 2, I think.
Okay.
Um,
It's
the
been
other-
so long- it's been so long, you don't remember.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Marty.
One I should have asked before, I forgot. What kind of contingency do we have on the tank?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Okay, I can fill you in on that. The total contingency for the tank, and again, it's up on my board right above where my computer is, but I believe it's $94,000. And the 5 change orders that we're gonna have on the construction end, total 36. And if you add in Wright Pierce's request amendment number 1 of 34, we're into the contingency of 96,000 at about 70,000. We're still within the contingency.
That's not a very big contingency for a couple of $1 million project, is it?
I think it's 5% of the 1.8 million.
Okay. I just want to point out too that this is not all going to Wright Pierce. If you look on their chart, their table 1, they've already got invoices from Earth Design and TestCon that total 10,000. So out of 34,000 and change, they're getting 24, not 30 something.
Correct. 10,000 is the 2 sub-consultants. And
Right.
was for additional steel rebar and concrete testing. The building inspector here requires a third party. They don't want the contractor to do that. So there was some extra concrete testing that was done by TestCon, who was hired through Wright Pierce.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
Yes.
any other questions? So we have a motion on the floor to table, but are you guys looking for more information or what's the
Matt,
end
if I
game?
could,
Yeah.
I could give you one more just final summary of the 34,000. And thank you, Marty, for pointing that out. 10,193 is to Wright Pierce's sub-consultants. 10,675 is Wright Pierce's time spent between October and basically the end of December. And 13,456 is what they want to budget for between now and the end of May. And my discussion with Marius was that I want to keep that to an absolute minimum. I'm going to limit basically having a monthly construction meeting. I don't think that's going to be necessary at this point. There's a little bit more time we're going to need on their end for sure. And that's the inspection that's going to be coming up on the electrical and the instrumentation. But of the money they haven't spent yet, the 13,000, I'm going to do my best to try to keep that to a minimum. I'll need a little bit more of their time at the end, but I'll try to just, take on as much of that as I can.
Let me throw out an idea. Would you guys want to consider paying them enough to cover their subcontractor and holding off on the rest? Or move, or just?
I don't have a problem with that. I'd amend my motion to do that.
Okay.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Paul, is that okay with you, Paul?
Yeah, it's okay with me. I was just concerned about through May 28th, but he's already answered it for me that he's going to take on some of that 13,000. So that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's 10,193 for the 2 subs, and it's Wright Pierce's time already spent for the 10,675.
Okay.
Well, the 10,675 number, Tom,
Yep.
does the 96 hours sound logical to you? That's the one I think I have the biggest problem with. I mean, it seems like for a job that was delayed and there wasn't much going on, again, 10 hours a week just seems excessive.
Well, yeah, Dino, it seems that way, but I mean, there was, again, like I said, a monthly meeting. There is review of the certified payrolls, their pay invoices that they basically look at. and certify to me before I certify to the PUC. There's been discussion on the various, change orders, things that have to be reviewed. Unfortunately, you've got you've got a resident engineer doing inspections, and then you got a layer of management where you got a senior project engineer and a project manager. So it seems excessive. I hear you.
Can we just see a breakdown of those 96 hours? And again,
Yeah, I could, yes, I will request that for sure.
All right, so I'll amend my motion to withhold to pay the 193 or something like that to the sub, and hold off on Wright Pierce requests for additional.
Is that the right number, Tom? 10,193?
Yes, 10,193 is the two subs.
Okay, all right. Okay, and Paul, you seconded that, right?
Seconded, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
nope.
And if not, we'll move on. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, number 2, water main replacements. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, on that one, I just wanted to try to get ahead of the game a little bit and have this discussion with PUC and see if you are willing to make a motion here. On the 2019 water mains, just to give you a little bit of history, we went through the town meeting and the town referendum, which approved a total of $998,000. When it got rebid, and Earth Movers was the low bidder for their number of $882,660, we went ahead and coordinated with the health department on the loan. So basically, the max amount of the loan with the Earth Movers bid and the contingency and the legal fees is $934,793. So that's our ceiling. As I've been discussing pretty much at most meetings, we've been coming in under on what Earth Movers has been doing, and it looked like we were going to have enough money to extend the water main down Highview Terrace towards Lindbergh Street, which, if you recall, we took out of the project and made it a bid alternate.
Right.
So where we stand, there's about $146,000 available. Earth Movers now is pretty much done the project up to where they're supposed to, minus that bid alternate. It looks like we've got enough money to basically get that piece of the main connected down to the hydrant at Lindbergh Street. So in case we hit rock, or in case some contingency comes up and we exceed the 882 number, their bid amount, I just wanted to get authorization to spend into the contingency amount. Not to exceed the loan amount of 934, but I want to have the flexibility to be able to extend that main all the way. And if it goes over the 882, I would just be going into the contingency. So that's really what I was looking for here.
What was the bid price for the alternate?
The bid price for the alternate, I think, was 127. So there should be enough. I don't anticipate going over that, Rich. But again, there's a couple of things at play. We don't know about rock or any unsuitable material. If they pull out any frozen material, and there may be some items that we have to utilize that maybe we weren't anticipating.
Would they wait to April to start this project?
No, I've got them there now. We've got a window of weather, so I can spend up to the 882, which we're proceeding with. I would just like to be able to cover us if it goes over the 882 slightly, that, PUC understands that we're into the contingency, but we're not going to exceed it.
What's the timeline on this for the extension?
I think it's only going to take them probably 2 to 3 weeks. They probably got about maybe a week and a half's worth of water main install or less. And they got the water services to do. And, they'll be back in the spring to do the final paving. But they should be able to get the main in, get the services connected, and get it temporary paved, in the next, say, 3 weeks. And it looks like the weather, we may get a break with it.
Question for Marty. Marty, can we do that?
You're muted.
Can, if we run over on the original bid price, can we take it from the contingency? Okay,
Well, yeah, it's in the contingency. It was in an alternate bid, so it's not like the public didn't know. They knew that there was going to be enough money left over that it was going to be done. There's money left over, and I would look at what you just voted on before about the contingency. You're already into the contingency for the other. There's no reason why, as long as you don't go over the contingency, I don't think you got a problem.
okay, all right, thank you. All right, I'll make,
Let me clarify something. You don't have a problem as long as you're not looking to do something that the public's not aware of. Like all of a sudden, going to do Shelley Road. That would be.
all right, thank you.
We're going to stick with the bid items that the public's aware of, that we went out to bid with. I'm not going to anything that's not on the plan already.
All right, do you need a motion to move forward on it? To accept the bid alternate?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right, I'll make the motion that we accept the bid alternate to go down to, continue the line down Lindbergh Street and do the final connection.
Paul seconded that. Okay.
Yep.
Is there a maximum amount that should be in that motion, by the way?
Yeah, I think,
Did you say 127 or do you need?
Well, the contingency on the contract, the bid was 882, and the state health department gave us, they put in a 5% contingency.
Okay.
The ceiling on the loan with DPH is 934 and change. So the contingency was like 44,000
Okay.
over the 882.
Over the 80. Okay. All right.
So why don't you just amend the motion that not to exceed the contingency amount?
Yeah.
right,
All right.
So move.
Okay. And that's
seconded too.
seconded.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions on that?
No,
Okay.
Great,
Hearing none.
thank you. Thank you,
Those in
Tom.
favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, item number 3, capital project status.
Okay, Chestnut Ridge Storage Tank, we received over the weekend, or I think last Thursday, DPH acknowledgement that we can put the tank in service. So we have all of our lab results back. And so now I'm at this point coordinating with the contractor and Wright Pierce, basically to, get the final instrumentation set up, tested, and be in a position to put the tank in service. I'm hoping we'll be doing that in the next couple of days. The next item, I did get change order for 2 items, more rock removal for putting the water main in. And it's an additional security layer for the instrumentation. Basically, the way it is, it's unsecured, and the instrumentation contractor suggested that we put in a secure VPN. That piece of it was like $1,200, and that seems like it's a reasonable programming, change order to follow. And the additional rock was another 12,000. But with those 2 and with the change orders that we've had already, as I mentioned, we're into the contingency, the total of 36,470.
You want approval of those 2 change orders?
If you think it's necessary, like I said, we're within the contingency at this point. But if you want to approve the change orders, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we should. I'll make a motion that we approve the change order for the rock removal of $12,000 and the security of the instrumentation for $1,200.
Right. I'll second that. Okay, any other,
And that it's within the contingency.
right. Any other comments or questions on that motion? And hearing none, I'll try your minds. Those in favor? Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Last item on that would be like final landscaping, fencing, and site restoration still remain. I think the landscaping is going to be the last thing. The planting's probably April or May. So hopefully we have the tank in service this week, and then the fence can follow if weather allows, and then final landscaping in the spring.
Are we gonna have a like a little dedication party for put the new tank in service? A little cold, a little cold and muddy.
Can we, I guess we have to socially distance, I think, to do that. So, but there's enough room out there. We can all be 6 feet apart, I guess.
And let's wait till spring.
You got a tap? You got a tap up there? We're gonna get a glass of water?
Yeah, we can get something out of it.
All right.
I went to the Colorado brewery and we drank from the tanks down there. So maybe we can drink from this tank.
Well, in this case, it's going to be bring your own and we'll supply the water, I guess.
All right. Anything else, Tom?
Yeah, a couple more projects. Bergstrom Well, the engineering report and pilot report's been submitted to DPH for approval. I'm not sure how long that's going to take. I'm going to guess at maybe a month, give or take. Next steps will be an engineering services agreement for the design, and then that'll release Wright Pierce to get going on design. And then that may be like a 12 to 15 month process, and then we'll be ready to go out to bid. We talked about the 2019 water mains, so we're going to extend that to Lindbergh. The 2021 water mains, the design is continuing. We're going to meet with the engineer to kind of finalize exactly what we're doing. If you recall, we made that one change where we're going to put the water main out on School Street. So I'm guessing we'll have a bid package in the next couple of months on that. And lastly, the Eureka generator has been delivered. Unfortunately, they did not have the correct muffler that came with that. So the install is still pending, but the generator is on site. So Paul, I wanted to let you know that for sure.
Okay, no glass
Always
pack
come.
mufflers, eh? I mean, just glass pack mufflers, only Matt and maybe Richie would understand that.
Yes, I'm from Motown. Yes, I know about glass packs. Okay.
And that's all I had for PUC projects.
All
All
right,
right. Kelly, you're up.
Okay, just a couple things. We had some service leaks the past couple weeks. Nothing big. We've had to have a couple curb boxes replaced due to being wheel valves. Pembroke has come in with their Vector truck and did them very reasonably. We're pretty much a tight system right now. We did have a leak across from the municipal center. They took care of that last week, going up to number 8 School Street. So like I say, we're pretty tight on the water side. Hydrant wise, we were all set to go last week or 2 weeks ago until the snow came, and it kind of set them back, but it's still on the agenda to get the hydrants taken care of. The week before Christmas, I did have an injury to one of my guys, a knee injury. He was doing a backflow inspection and stepped on some unstable ground in a basement, and he lost about 4 days. But it's been in the process. The first injury report has been done, and Phyllis is aware of what's going on. So I know he was going to the doctor today for possibly an MRI, but we're just keeping an eye on that.
what did he injure?
His knee.
Oh,
Knee injury, yeah. Also, Wayne Clark, our newest guy, we finally got him on the weekend round starting this month, which I'm pretty happy about. He's been shadowing Ed and Justin up in the treatment side for the past few months. So he's going to be working under Ed's certification, and that's all legal within the state of Connecticut, as long as he keeps it. If there's any issues, he keeps it. So other than that, like I said, the system's tight, sewer's going good. We've got, I think pretty sure I mentioned last month that we got both of the pumps installed up to Stony Hill, and now it's just finding them to do the time to do the control panels, but everything's there and ready to go. That worked out very well, putting it on bypass with no issues whatsoever. But other than that, that's all I have.
Okay,
Kelly,
great.
what was number 8? Where was that?
It's right next door. They've had like 3 leaks there. That's the one that goes up to the dentist office directly across from the entrance to the school there, Rich. Or not the school, I'm sorry, the municipal center, right where the main walkway is.
The dentist office.
Yes, and it was on their side. It was after the curb stop. So they worked with Tinker and
Oh, okay.
Anderson.
Up further that way. Okay.
Yeah, it's right next to the property that they're talking about that development going into. But like I say, not an issue. They finally got it taken care of.
Kelly, we got Paul Street all squared away with those pumps. Remember, this was been an issue going there.
No, we were having a leak on one of the packing seals on the top of them. We kind of expected that on the 2 older pumps. So we bought 3 new seals. We had 2 of them installed, so nothing's leaking. And I've just, because of the way things are with transit and trying to get things, I wanted to have that extra seal on hand just in case we had any issues. But no, we've been pretty good. We're knock on wood. We're doing well.
Thank you.
What about the generator over Hall Street? What's the status of that now?
Still waiting for Kingsley to get back to me. They came out. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was before the last meeting, but I don't know whether the holiday screwed them up or what. But I'm waiting for Kingsley. They did say that it would definitely be a smaller generator, but I'm asking them to give me a quote on a Cummins, and I'm also waiting on HO Penn. I think being this generator, I think this is a little bit above Cannondale, and I kind of feel a little strong about we stay with Kingsley with a Cummins unit, or even a CAT unit through HO Penn.
Kingsley does the other brands?
No, that's Cannondale does everything else. Kingsley, I got away from Kingsley because they were charging me too much on travel time. They were costing me more in travel time when they were out of West Hartford than I was paying for the actual service.
Yeah, no, I dealt with them a lot over the healthcare thing.
Yeah, but pretty much everything in town is a Cummins. A Cummins. So, and I think we should try to, be uniform with stuff like that if it's feasible.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions for Kelly?
No.
Okay, and hearing none, we are concluded. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all moved. Rich seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New
Thanks,
Year.